You're watching BUTV, Bloomsburg University Television, the home of the Huskies.
Hello, this is Ben Willis, actor of Cedric on Frightening Fridays here. Also was lucky enough to work with the other wonderful people on the show in the writing room. We're going to be watching the first episode here. Wow, that's a lot of explosions.
I'm actually in the
You can hear our directors laugh in the background, watching me, making sure I don't screw up on this. Sitting here by myself, trying to comment on the first episode here.
Unless you really want me to come over.
No. I don't know. You've already intruded upon my solo performance here. Go away. Anyway, this is of course the opening credits where we explain the history of the history behind the show, the prologue. It's still a lot of explosions. Wow. The Reaper is coming. I was lucky enough to work on this show in my last year of being part of the Mass Communications Department of Bloomsburg University. Changed my major shortly after that, but I loved working on the show. And oh, here we go. Creepy Reaper. This is probably going to be one of the most boring. I don't know. It won't be the most boring. I'm going to try to make it as best as I can. Well, this is new. I don't think this was in the original cut, but that's a wonderful shot. Oh, here we go. Interesting bit of trivia. I ended up writing this little melody for, I actually did a short film the same year we did the same year that we started producing this show, and Eric came up to me and said, when he approached me about playing Cedric, he said, "Well, we'd like to introduce this, and can we come in?" That's reverb? Wow, that's new too. But he approached me and said, "We'd love to have the camera zoom in on while you're playing something on this harpsichord type piano type thing," which is actually secretly, trade secret. Don't tell anyone this, but that's actually just an old upright piano we had floating around in the back of the wonderful storage room, which I suppose we'll see pieces of in later episodes. We used it as part of one of the sets, and we had this piano sitting in the back, and I said, this piano sucks. I know I can make this better, so I went out and I bought a box of thumbtacks and stuck it on the heads of the piano, and that's the sound that you hear out of there now. And kind of sounds like a harpsichord sneaking around.
Seriously, just change the channel. I'll keep playing.
Yeah, might as well turn this off too. Go away from the show. Run away while you still can. It's the entrance of Creepy here. But anyway, I ended up writing that melody for another project altogether, and I love to be able to say this, that I've had one of my songs broadcast on the air.
I did not see you there, sir.
Pick up my coat why did I have that hanging on? We had a candelabra which we never lit, because unfortunately we were not allowed to light reel candles in the studio, which really sucked, because in a lot of ways that probably would have added a lot of ambiance to the set. But you can see in the background there we had that little thing up near upper right hand corner of the screen. You can see that flickering. It almost looks real. Looks pretty good. That was actually just a piece of cloth with a fan and a light bulb under it. You could probably still find a couple of those for during and around Halloween, which was luckily enough, that's when we started to build the set for this, was the month preceding Halloween. So there was all this stuff on the market, these flickering candles and skulls and all these tombstones and especially the cobwebs and all this stuff, and we were so lucky to be able to put this together. That was actually a problem we kept having with with Mike's hood that Mike DeShane has played the Reaper. His hood kept falling down in front of his face. There again. And so if you watch, oh, there's his arm too. You can see his fleshy pink arm of this undead character. We actually ended up, I think, putting Velcro under the top of his hood to keep it from falling down over his eyes, among other additions to that costume there.
I would like to take over the cable waves and show everybody scary movies.
Sure.
24 hours a day.
Sure, like that'll ever happen. I don't know, how could you categorize Cedric's role in this? I always figured he kind of wanted to see the plan succeed, but was never really too enthusiastic about it. He was there to do his job.
You just sit tight.
Sit tight.
I will go
And he just kind of went along with the flow with a lot of the things that went on with the castle there. Thunder. Segment 2. Well, let's see. This is actually the first time I've watched this since we produced it 2 years ago. Oh, there's Count Numbskull, which was a Halloween spin-off. I think actually last year around Halloween you could see a lot of I don't know if that model was out anymore, but there's Frankenstein's do the same thing now. It's this dancing statue that if you push down on his head, he springs up and stands about 5 feet tall there. We actually had to raise him up, and he's actually on a dolly cart that sits about 3 inches off the ground. So he's actually a little bit taller than he actually is.
Count Numbskull, how are you?
But there's also this attachment, this microphone that you could plug it into the back, and we had, I can't remember, that was Matt Colosimo, sounds like he's voicing him now, and he was actually tapping on his microphone. Oh, here he goes. One of the pre-recorded songs. Thank God we never did this again. Well.
Wait a minute, wait, we're getting off track.
And we flipped the switch and we're back to microphone function there. Oh. Those doors, I'm sure everyone else is going to mention those doors in the back there. We're there. I mean, we were so lucky in that those doors are just part of the set. I mean, they're stage doors. In case people had to apparently move a wall within the studio. I mean, no one used them as far as we knew as part of a set, because we had basically a whole quarter of the entire our little tiny soundstage to ourselves for the show, which stretched from that far left corner of that door all the way around to the edge of the... You can see Numbskull, clacks his teeth when Mike gets loud there. The appearance of Igor.
Oh, it's already on.
Yep.
It's been on for a while.
What?
A while now.
I didn't even get
This
a
is
chance
the
to get my popcorn.
prototype Igor's costume here. Is a brown sweatshirt, some kind of pants. I think eventually we got some kind of raggedy mesh shirt and pants to go along with that. I don't know if we ever quite dropped the sweatshirt, the hoodie, though. Never quite understood why he was carrying that axe if he's all alone in the freaking vault by himself.
You can't be the host. If you were the host, that'd put me out of a job. Okay?
Tell them how you had to grow your hair for the role.
My hair? I didn't have to grow my hair for the role. I'm sitting here by myself trying to think of things to say in scenes that I wasn't even in. Oh, there we go. First time you see that staff. That staff was a source of much unrest for us much later in our production, when it eventually it just disappeared on us over Easter break of the following year. Of course, the studio was not limited to those of us working on just our show. There was everyone else in the department, and of course some people who weren't even in the department had access to the room and the storage room. And of course there were about 5 different ways to get into there. And if you got back in the storage room, you could get out through different ways too. And honestly, Eric, do you remember this? We had the stage door. The entrance we actually used was next to the roll-up door in the back, in the storage room, and we actually had to tape the latch on the door open because it kept locking every time everyone would go out for a smoke. That's my theory, is that someone came in through that door or break and just, instead of taking anything else that looked valuable, like the freaking huge metal swords or something that they could play with, they stole this cheesy little plastic staff.
Yeah, they steal the staff for like $20, but they leave like TV sets.
Antique TV sets and all this stuff. And here's Gigi. Another one. As we slowly introduce the characters, there's her microphone cord hanging out. You lecherous bastard. Get your head up. This is one of the things about, this so obvious why he has her hanging around. I mean, freaking cobwebs everywhere. I think she'd get some cleaning done.
Back to my trek to taking over the world. I'm starting to feel power surge through my veins. I feel so happy.
Yeah, we love it. We lose power, but the magical glowing, everything else is still on. We had all that electrical system was all on its own circuit, which is just plugged into the wall. We had all these lighting effects strung throughout the set.
We tripped the breaker.
You're a little smart Igor for a second there. Joel had so many different faces for Igor. He had, of course, the gruff, stupid type guy, He-Man type voice and character. But then, at these random intervals, he'd just come in and do a different voice, and he'd stand up straight and do all these different things. And it just relieved a lot of the tension. Needless to say, when we couldn't find something funny in what we were saying, Joel would find a way to do it. God, that thing is so out of tune.
Oh, I didn't notice you that. You might be wondering why our lights are off here. You have me to thank for that.
Those are my real glasses, which are the ones I'm wearing. Are those the same ones I'm wearing? I think those are the same ones I'm wearing right now, actually. Except I just pushed them down to the bridge of my nose, past the bridge of my nose. So I was never looking through my glasses, I think, a single day on production.
Frankly, I'm not too sure of. It really is.
Eric mentioned about my hair. I don't know if you heard him back then. Yeah, my hair was long back then. It was like, there was this, oh God, I can't remember his name. But there was another one of the guys in the MassCon department that was, we kind of called him Jesus, because he dressed up like Jesus for Halloween every year. He had hair down to the middle of his back. Do you remember his name? He never worked on the show, but he was always there around. And that was one of my goals when I started. Stu. Yeah, that's right. Stu. And he had hair down to the back, middle of his waist. And I said, I'm going to grow out my hair. I'm probably never going to catch up to him, but I might as well try to do something like that. So as you watch through all these episodes that we did, I never cut my hair, had my hair cut once. So right now in this first episode, we were shooting around, I think a week and a half before Halloween in '94. My hair's, coming down halfway down my shoulders, and by the end it was coming, almost a couple inches longer.
Don't forget, Cedric.
Sit in the back.
The best part is when the mummies eat the brains.
Yes, sir, I'm sure you have nothing to worry about there.
What? Hey!
Let's go to a commercial, shall we?
I think we shall. Improvised organ music there, and not by me. That was by someone else. It would have been nice to have an organ or something on there, but we had the piano. That was good enough for me. If you watch a lot of this dialogue between myself and Mike Desane, I think one of the strong points we had in our humor was our long bouts of uncomfortable silence. You got to understand that we didn't come into this with a written script. All we had was, what you call a treatment, was just an outline of what had to be done in each scene. We'd sit down beforehand, run through the scenes a few times, and work out what exactly we were going to do. And Gigi's a tree. And so we'd sit down and work out what we were going to do, and a lot of times we'd get to a point where we'd hit a plot point, and we were both lost on how to move on to something else. And I think that's at the point where you'll usually hear a gong or something like that, just to notate that uncomfortable silence. I remember this. This is the first time I got to see the powers of the staff. That's a football stolen from a sports set. Football and stool. This is fun, though. I mean, this was our first special effects treatment. We got a little bit more creative, a little bit more. Wow. Yeah, that looks says it all.
Oh, good Lord.
No, that's way too ugly to be Gigi.
Again, still playing with Joel's costume there. Camera 3 randomly appears.
Good God.
Of course, it's never quite explained why the camera operators in the castle don't really have any objection to working with this undead creature, evil mastermind. There's cameras, but are they actually manned by people? That's the question. I had totally forgotten about this. Yeah, another plant. Getting back to where we came from.
Well, not exact. No, sir.
No, sir. Not at all.
Shall we try again, sir?
Yes, maybe we shall.
What are you guys looking at?
Quiet, Gigi. I'm trying to turn you back into what you used to be.
Okay.
Of course, master of the oblivious here. We had a lot of fun with the... when we couldn't think of anything to do, we said, well, creepy turns something into something else, or something goes awry with the staff, and that was like our Deus Ex Machina of comedy for a few points in the series. If we couldn't think of anything else, do something with the staff, or magic goes crazy. And we had a whole episode, the musical episode. The whole episode was examples of magic going crazy. Of course, that was actually built around the fact that we had lost the staff during that episode. Of course, you'll see that a lot later in this. Not this episode, a lot later in the series. It was actually the last episode to air, if I remember right. Did 2 more after that. We never got a chance to see them on the air. Actually, getting these shows on the air was a big problem for a long time because we had to play these shows, I believe, on VHS. We had to transfer get these transferred onto VHS from the original masters. And then they had to be popped into this machine in this room, which is, Halloween edition. So of course we had trick-or-treaters on the premiere.
Something good to eat. If you don't, I don't care. I'll pull down your underwear.
I'm not.
But anyway, the tape room was next to the studio we filmed this in, and it was this archaic VHS system where you had to put the tape in and you timed everything out, and you had to put the timing in, and if you didn't have this master control set, things wouldn't work, and most of the time it would not work. So there were plenty of times a lot of the whole episodes didn't get shown, or halfway through it just go static because the tape would shut off and there'd be no programming. And this was broadcast over the Bloomsburg's local access channel, which most people didn't watch because at any given point of the day it was a scrolling billboard with announcements from from the university, and this audio was usually National Weather Service forecast that's being played over and over again. So it was, one of those channels you just programmed out of your lineup. Or something, yeah, or some, hackneyed news program, quote unquote news program that got played 5 times a week.
The many hundreds of your fans apparently think so too.
That was not intentional, actually. A lot of the weird, the physical comedy like that was just those gloves. It took. I think it took a long time for Matt to get used to handling things with those gloves.
What are some things that you are scared of? Besides Hillary Duff.
Well, Miss Duff.
Something that never quite happened. Never really worked out either. Eventually, was these letters from the viewers and letters from everyone else, and eventually the show kind of just, I don't know, devolved or evolved into just this. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh my God. Horror. Oh. Oh God. Burns my eyes.
Sunshine lollipop.
Wow. That's, oh my. That is scarring.
Virgins. How about that saying? Virgins.
You say so, sir.
Yeah.
Flowers. Cute little babies.
Eric, this is some of the most disturbing footage I've ever seen. I have to say this.
That Alice from
These pictures.
the Brady Bunch.
I am speechless right now. This is some of the most disturbing footage I've ever seen.
Is it Paris Hilton?
Yeah. Oh wow, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. Now, it may seem I'm at a loss. I don't have much to say about a lot of this stuff, but at this point, there wasn't much to talk about. I mean, we were just starting up the show. We had no idea what we were doing. I mean, as you can see, the smoke was totally out of control. We were experimenting because of the air conditioning in this room was totally, just odd. It was not built with smoke effects in mind. The heat from the lamps would just eventually make it rise up into the ceiling, so we had to add more smoke. Like you can see that we just shot it, at Mike and hoped it would float around him for as long as the shot was going on.
I tell you, my name is not Mr. Creepy. It's the Creepy Reaper. You were better off as a potted plant.
Oh, you're so silly, Mr. Keeper. But we could have Halloween every single night. And we could dress up all the time, and you look like you were for Halloween. You're supposed to really feel.
Trying to restrain
Creepy
himself.
old boy. How about the song to calm things down?
No.
If you have to go out with the song, I always say. Where's that Ringo? I don't know.
No, that's a horrible idea.
Numbskull makes an impromptu entrance. Oh, that's wonderful. Again, Joel, one of the most physical actors I've ever worked with, was as comfortable doing anything you'd ask him to do. I mean, physically, he was fine with. He'd throw himself against a wall, do whatever. I mean, he did so many pratfalls in this. How wonderfully high-tech we are there. Hey, Eric, wasn't this shot in your apartment at the time? This scene with Matt Colosimo, I think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Cowboy hat.
That was actually one of my old apartments.
Where'd the cowboy hat come from? This.
We were going to introduce him as he was never going to be Agent Mulder. We were just going to be some kind of secret villain.
The cowboy hat is never explained later in episodes. I don't
No,
think.
that was his.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right.
I think we were going to introduce him being like a specter chaser, ghost hunter, or something like that.
Some kind of Van Helsing
That was
character.
his.
Some Van Helsing character, but yeah. Didn't quite work out that way. Of course, this was all we almost did this with the idea of it being a one-off production. because a lot of us didn't. At least I didn't. Really know if this would actually keep going after this first episode. So it's like this was pretty final at the point we filmed this. We were like, okay, this is it. We had fun. We're going to move on to something else, and of course we didn't. We ended up doing this for the rest of our time there for that whole year. This was our main project. So,
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
You're watching BUTV, Bloomsburg University Television, the home of the Huskies.